So this is Northern Fantasy. As you can see, this is Narnia. This is the White Witch who cast a 100-year spell on Narnia of winter. And here she is riding 3 ferocious polar bears. So I thought this got me thinking, this among many other books, such as Jules Verne's Fur Country, I think, which is one of the first few books. Jules Verne being the granddaddy of science fiction and fantasy. He wrote this book. This is pretty much mundane. It's not too fantastical except for the strange astronomical phenomena that the characters experience in their travels actually in the Northwest Territories. But let's go back to what I see as a seminal creation in fantasy lore is Middle-earth of J.R.R. Tolkien. And in Lord of the Rings, you have many different locations. He was amazing at building a world. And he drew inspiration actually from the Kalevala, which was a Finnish legend that was written in the 19th century. But what he really focused on in many ways, and you may not know this because we usually think of Mordor as the land of utter evil, but in the earlier stories, Angband or Utumno, which is the land of Morgoth, which is the fallen Lucifer figure, as this guy is, the Witch King of Angmar, the ultimate evil came from the north. So, and you see this kind of replicated here. This is the Lich King, which is, I don't play World of Warcraft. No, I don't play World of Warcraft. He's the Lich King, is also a copy of the Witch King of Angmar. So it kind of replicates. So the icy, evil comes from there. But also in the north, in Tolkien's north, is the Losoth. It's just mentioned briefly in his books. The Losoth are actually an Inuit analog, or Inuit Finnish Sami analog. They're seen as brown skin. They're indigenous to the land. The people, the men of Lord of the Rings, Aragorn, all those people are settlers actually. And there's actually a Franklin story embedded in one of his legends, and of the last king of Arnor who fled north to Angmar to get away from the Witch King of Angmar. And he tried to come back, but the Losoth warned him. It's like, it's too icy. He's going to drown, and he did drown. So that's the end of the line of kings of the north. And anyways. So, but that kind of idea that there is like extreme south or extreme north kind of carried on in many different worlds that were all derivative of Tolkien. Very similar kind of ideas, similar, kind of weird compilation of cultures and people. And of course, right now we of course are seeing Game of Thrones. Here's Westeros and Essos, and there's other places. It's another Earth analog, pretty much. I mean, the cultures are very similar to Earth, which has interesting implications actually. But you also have, of course, the big bad coming out from the north. And that here we see again. So here, but we also have 3 ideas in the north. We have Winterfell, which is a north. The north remembers. But we also have the wall, which keeps out the wildlings, which are of north of the wall. But we also have the uttermost north, where, of course, the big bad comes from the White Walkers. So you have this kind of ideas of the north and of a barrier that try to prevent people from coming out from the north. In this case, it's kind of like Hadrian's Wall, which is trying to keep out those barbarian Celts and Scots from invading civilized Roman lands, as they said. So you see that kind of idea replicated in many legends. Of course, here's the White Walker. But in the north, you also have other cultures. The wildlings, many are played by Scandinavian actors, so obviously the thought is in there that they're Scandinavian. But you also have the Children of the Forest, which are an aboriginal people of Westeros. They were actually exterminated by the humans when they came to settle, and that's why they were driven north. And spoiler alert, they created the White Walkers to fight the men. There's nicer representations in the north, of course. There's 2 recent ones are Golden Compass, or the His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman series, and the Avatar series, which in the latest one, they have Legend of Korra, and they both ride polar bears, or there's a polar bear dog. In Lyra's world, which is in the Golden Compass, you have a kind of Earth parallel, but you also have inhabited areas. Like North America is completely different. There's New France, New Denmark. England's never really, Texas is an independent country. But you also have Sweden, Lapland, Tartary, Nova Zembla, and Svalbard, which much of the action takes place, is there. So here they are facing off in Svalbard. The weird thing I found is that the Samoyed people and Tatar people of northern Russia were kind of the henchmen of the Magisterium, which is like the evil construct, and in the storyline. So they're there's weird things that's maybe racial, and of course the polar bears were civilized. in civilized talking bears, and they fight in the Golden Compass. In the Avatar world, but is the most probably evolved treatment of northern people. Here we have a culture of basically based on Asia. There's no African people, no European people in it, mostly Asians. The Water Tribe, which is one of the 4 nations, are kind of an Inuit analog or maybe northern Siberian analog. Their costumes are northern, their buildings are northern. The southern tribe and the northern tribe is much more developed, so they have massive compounds. But unfortunately, Hollywood, when they try to make a film of it, which is a terrible film, they actually cast white actors to play the parts of what you would see as more brown ethnic peoples. In this case, probably Inuit people. So that carries on the Hollywood idea that, and it totally bombed. So as one of the results, so what they called, yeah. So, but one of the new things that have come along is Never Alone, which is a game that's been put out by the Inupiat in Alaska. It's very interesting because this is and it tries to deal with a lot of the legends of the Inupiat people. And I think this is probably the fairest representation because it's actually the game designers and the elders and the children trying to come up with a way of making really exciting, not like World of Warcraft, of course, but something that's more educational and kind of more nicer for children to get to know their legends and bring them into the present day. So anyways, that's my quick and dirty.